Editing your lights using the gizmos to illuminate an area of your scene. Lighting choices. So modern, you'll see that there's a camera gadget in the scene. Switch over to play mode to see how the scene looks through that camera. Having a defined viewing angle can help inform modern. You'll see that there's a camera gadget in the scene. Switch over to play mode to see how the scene looks through that camera. Having a defined viewing angle can help inform your lighting choices. So keep in mind the camera angle when you're setting up your lights. Try editing your lights using the gizmos to illuminate an area of your scene. Of course, the gizmos aren't the only way to edit lights. Like everything else, lights can also be tweaked. We'll take a look at that in the next step. So let's take a look at the Lights Tweak menu. Hover your imp over a light in the scene, hold L1, then press square. Lights can either be spot or diffuse. Spotlights illuminate in a specific direction, whereas diffuse lights cast in all directions. Light gadgets are set to be spotlights by default. But you can easily change their type by selecting the diffuse button. For this scene, it's better if we stick to using spotlights though. Notice the spotlight has tweak sliders for beam range and beam angle. These sliders do the same thing as the gizmos we used in the last step, but they give you more precise control. The fade angle slider changes the softness of the spot. At 0%, the spot will have a sharp edge. As you increase the slider, the edge will become softer. Deselecting the Cast Shadows button will stop the light from casting shadows. A very useful feature, but not for our spooky garden, as shadows will add to the overall atmosphere. The last two sliders, Use Image and Image Blur, allow you to project an image with the light. Images can be used to break up the light and add texture, making it look like it's coming through clouds or trees. Hover over the Use Image slider and use the up and down directional buttons to cycle through the images. Find one that suits the scene. This one looks good. The Image Blur slider can soften the image for a more subtle effect. When you've finished tweaking the light, close the tweak menu using L1 and circle. Now you've set up one light, you can clone it and use it in other parts of the scene. Think about where light would naturally Be coming from in the scene? The moon or the fires, for example. When you've finished lighting your scene, head back to edit mode for the next step, where I'll show you how to add fog. Now we're going to literally add some atmosphere to the scene using a fog gadget. Close any tweak menus you may have open and press circle to deselect everything in the scene. Open the assembly menu. Press square if it's closed. Select gadgets, then cameras and lighting. The fog gadget icon looks like a cloud. Select it with X. We'll use this gadget to create some low-lying mist in the garden. Stamp a fog gadget somewhere in the garden with R2 or X. How about around one of the gravestones? Once you've done that, press circle to drop the gadget from your imp. To edit the fog, we'll use its gizmos. Select the gadget with X to reveal them. The zone shows you the area that will be foggy. You can grab the zone with R2 to extend it. Look closely and you'll notice that the fog gadget actually has two zones. The outer zone is the fog's fall-off zone. To adjust the fall-off, you'll need to hold L1 before grabbing the edges of the zone. Have a go now. Hold L1, then grab the zone with R2 to edit the fall-off zone. In the fall-off zone, the fog becomes gradually less and less dense until it's completely dissipated. Extend it to make the fog fade away gradually, or pull it in to have a tight ball of fog instead. Above the gadget, you'll find a position or gizmo. Use it to move the zone independently of the gadget. In the next step, we'll tweak the fog to change its colour and density. The fog is so thick I can barely see Connie. Let's see if we can improve its look in the tweak menu. Hold L1, then press square over the gadget. The fog's tweak menu has 2 pages, Properties and Zone Size. On the Properties page, use the fog density slider to thin out the fog a little. There's also a colour picker if you want to change the colour of the fog. Adjusting the various noise slide here. Noise speed slider adds movement to the fog for a billowing look. There's also a slider to add glow to the fog. Add just a tiny bit of glow to make the fog look like it's catching the light. And zone fall off, just like you could with the zones themselves. You can also change the shape of the zone in the tweak menu. Change the The garden is looking very spooky now. The finishing touches will be to add some grading and effects. Grade and effects changes the look of the whole scene. It's a bit like adding a photo filter. Let's take a look. Open the assembly menu. Press square if it's closed. In cameras and lighting, look for the grade and effects gadget. The icon is an instant photo with some sparkles on it. Select it with X, then stamp one anywhere in your scene. There are no gizmos for this gadget, so open its tweak menu to explore the settings. Grade and Effects is a powerful gadget with a handful of tweak menu pages. The first page, Light and Colour, has settings for brightness, contrast and saturation. Try using the sliders to refine the nighttime look of the scene. If the grass still looks a bit too green, we can fix that by easing off the saturation. Use the brightness and contrast settings to bring out the shadows. Ooh, I'm getting chills. Everything in Grade and Effects changes the look of the scene in some way. You'll be able to figure out what most things do just by experimenting with them. Take a look through the rest of the tweak menu to see the gadget's full potential. On the colour tinting page, you can individually tint the shadows, midtones and highlights of the scene. Screen effects add filmic touches like vignettes, lens